Well, welcome everybody to the Nurture Nature Show. I am the Reverend Dr. Laura Kim Joyner.
And I'm Reverend Dr. Meredith Garman.
We are coming to you from White Plains, New York to wherever you are. And this is the Nurture Nature Show where we talk about multi-species events and behavior and cognitive pathology so we can find ways to nurture nature more. That's what we're here for, right?
Our own nature, the world's the nature of the world.
Everybody's. And today we're going to do it by taking up the theme of show me your smile and laughter. What's going on in other species and what can it do to help us nurture nature? But
now, we think that smiling and laughter go together, that laughter is just a more intense form of smiling. Smiling taken to the next step becomes laughing. But actually, they have completely different evolutionary origins, and they mean very different things in ourselves and in the animal kingdom.
And so we're going to talk about how they're really different. Now, when we talk about other species, we need to kind of just set some formats. We review this often during our show. And one is this idea of anthropomorphism and kind of the opposite, which is anthropocentrism and anthropodenial. Are you?
Anthropodenial.
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 Yes, that. And when,
never heard of it.
Never heard it. So anthropomorphism, another way of saying that is they're exactly like us. So everything that a dog or cat or fish does is because they're thinking and acting and motivated like we are. And
so too much anthropomorphism is projecting human qualities on other species when they don't really have that. And why is that a problem?
Because if we overdo it, then we're not really seeing them who they are.
We're not seeing them for who they are.
But yet, if we don't do any of it, then it's the opposite. We're saying they're nothing like us, and we can't use our common sense to go, they are a little bit like us. Especially
so that your dog might not feel what you're projecting upon your dog to feel. But it's an important part of your relationship that you do a certain amount of projecting. It's because that's how you feel in relationship to your dog, and your dog can pick up on whether you feel disconnected.
So we do not want to do this thing called anthropocentrism or anthropodenial, where we say we're completely separate and different from all other species. We don't want to do that either. So let's remember those two extreme errors when we talk about it. We're going to mostly be talking about other great apes because they're an awful lot like us, and a lot of them smile. So
they are great.
They are great. So we're going to
They may even be greater than we are.
Right. So we're going to talk about smiling right now, and but one thing we need to keep in mind is here's another caveat. Is what do facial expressions mean when someone smiles? Can we always know what that means?
Well, facial expressions generally mean what they mean in human culture because of human culture's constructs about them. Scientists have found out, this was surprising news to me when I learned about it just within the last year, that there is no configuration of facial muscle movements that always signals anger, and there's no configuration of facial muscles that only signals anger. That a whole range of different facial expressions are used by people who are angry, and we understand that because of other context clues. There's a stereotyped view of what anger looks like. But real people who are angry rarely make the stereotyped expression.
So there's no really universality in human expressions.
Right, and what I just said about anger goes for sad and for happy.
So why are we even looking at smiling in other species? What can that help us? There's some common core there that can give us some insight, some universality of facial expressions. Like chimpanzees have the same number and location of facial muscles that we have.
Well, talk about that chimp that was smiling and didn't want to be smiling and knew that he didn't want to. He knew he was smiling and he didn't want the other chimps to see him smiling.
Well, okay, so that.
Why did he do that?
Okay, so we got to get at the basis of why chimps and many great apes smile. It is a way to appease the other. They think it came out of the monkeys, early primates, saying, if I smile, I'm saying that you're more dominant and leave me alone, and I want acceptance. I want acceptance and I want safety. So you smile.
It's a gesture of submission.
It is like that.
And it's a gesture of recognizing that, well, you're the boss here.
Right. And so Chimps that do that don't want to let others know that they think they're subordinate. So they don't want to smile.
They don't want the boss to know that?
They don't-
Or is there some third party that they don't want to see
Well-
this deference?
Well, I could think of a study in humans and a study in chimps. One was
Just the
observed.
chimps.
Okay, start with the chimp. The chimps were male chimps. They were starting to go at it and fight. And the one chimp started to smile, and that's where the lips get curled back.
Yeah.
And it's more than this one chimp. The chimp turns around and tries to wipe the smile off
He
his
didn't
face
want to be seen smiling.
at his
He
competitor.
knew that the smile signaled something.
Right.
And he also, but see, he's experiencing smiling as involuntary. He's trying to wipe it off.
Yeah.
He's actually pulling down the corners of his mouth in what I read. Yeah.
So, and so they did a study with humans where they have two boxers that are getting ready to go fight, and they're smiling in front of all the photographers. They found out that the fighter that has the bigger smile is more likely to lose than the one who doesn't.
Because he's a little
Subconsciously showing vulnerability.
He's showing submission at some level.
At a subconscious level. So that's an awful lot what the grin, they call it the grin in chimps, and what that is about.
But you see, I'm gonna say that humans are more voluntary about smiling, and that boxer case would seem like a counterexample, except that my feeling is that if his coach, his manager says to him, smiling signals you're going to be submissive, don't smile, then he would be able to comply and not smile. He wouldn't have to use his hands to hold his mouth down. He would just not smile.
Right. There are ways we can control it. And so it's probably this mix of subconscious and conscious. Now, some other places where apes smile, bonobos smile during sex.
Well, doesn't everybody smile during sex?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that study. And let's see, bonobos are also the only ape other than ourselves that frowns. Do you know why that is?
Chimps don't frown?
Nope. Or
Gorillas?
it's hard to see them frown.
Gorillas don't frown?
Hard to see them frown because they have this big prominent ridge, and bonobos are more flat face. So we can actually see them frown, but the brow.
Oh, because of the brow ridge.
Yeah, that's.
So we can see their eyebrows.
So yeah, so maybe they frown, but it's harder.
Scowl.
It's harder for reasons.
So when you say frown, you don't mean a facial, a mouth expression. You mean an eyebrows.
Right.
Frown.
The whole thing. Let's see. Monkeys, I don't remember what species it was, grin. So like there's a female, maybe a mom, and the infant or the young toddler monkey comes along and wants to swipe the food away from her. She will take the food and get it out of the reach, and she'll smile at the young monkey, try to not have that young monkey go into a tantrum because you remove something that the young monkey wants. So she smiles at the young monkey.
So the smile says, "I'm on your side.
Don't.
I care about
yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'm here to serve."
Right.
So don't freak out about the fact that I removed the food.
So humans use smile in much the same way to appease and to improve the mood, and it's subconsciously
To help other people feel like you are on their side. You're with them.
And women smile more than men do.
Because they're more vulnerable.
They're more vulnerable. And I've often wondered, I didn't look this up, maybe somebody out there knows this. Why is it when women laugh and smile, they often do this? I don't see men doing that so much, but women do. Why? I wish I had looked that up to know why it is that women do that. Watch women when they're laughing or smiling, or then they do this.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know what the mechanism is going on in there, but
I could guess, but it would just be guessing and probably wrong.
Okay, so let's go on to laughter, shall we? Yeah, let's do that. So laughter isn't always with humor, is it? It happens in other situations.
Well, we always know the bad guy
With humans.
The bad guy does that maniacal laughter.
Yeah.
So it's meant to be threatening. It's a gesture of dominance. The exact opposite of a smile, which is a gesture of submission.
Right, and it can have fear and anxiety into it. Like if we're startled, there can be a laugh, and we can laugh when there's a relief. What is the one time you always see me laugh when we're watching movies?
You are a sucker for a pratfall.
I just-
Somebody slips on a banana peel
And-
and you completely lose it.
And other chimpanzees do that too. They have this and they play jokes on each other. There was a chimp who the alpha male used a rope. It was in a captive situation to swing down into like a ditch in the enclosure and could climb back up the rope and get out. But the younger chimp that often got beat up by the more dominant male took the rope away so the other chimp couldn't get out of the ditch and started laughing and laughing. And with chimps, they pant. They kind of, and that's the laugh. And the chimp was just going crazy with that. And there's another famous video where maybe I'll show it when we replay this, where a mother chimp is watching her son with a really great rock tool break open these nuts. And it's like hard to find these really good rock tools. And so she comes up and starts grooming him and distracts him. And so he's got to return the gesture. So he lays the tool down, goes over and starts grooming her. She picks up the tool, takes a few steps and goes, it looks like it was a great joke. It was a great joke.
Do you think chimps prefer Charlie Chaplin movies or Groucho Brothers
Groucho
or the
Marx.
Marx Brothers movies?
I don't know. Now, laughter's got a sinister side to it, or a suspect side. Wahaha. Is we use it to say in-group solidarity. And so laughter is contagious. So if a whole room is laughing, we are saying we're the in-group and you're the out-group. That's why people are nervous when they walk into a room and people are laughing. They think you think you're being laughed at because it's
because
used.
they're in and you're not.
Yeah, and so that's why we're sensitive around. We didn't get the joke. Why is everybody else laughing? What's going on? So there's a lot going on with laughter. Who else smiles and laughs in the animal world?
Horses have 17 muscle movements in their faces. 17.
Yeah, I hear they're like next to apes, the most expressive of all animals, that they can really just do a ton of things with their facial. Who else?
And Kias will go into play mode if they hear the sounds of other Kia laughter. What does other Kia laughter sound like?
It's kind of like a chortle. Yeah,
But it sounds like a laugh though?
Yeah. And dogs will do it too. If they, this is just a recent study, they didn't used to think dogs laugh. So when they look at us and pant, we're not quite sure that's what they're doing. But they also have a vocalization that if you play that back, it will elicit play in other dogs. It looks like that. And one of the most expressive animals out there next to horses and apes, who is that?
Expressive animals next to horses and apes.
Well, they're not expressive when they're next to the horse, but in sort of in a
How can you not be expressive when you're standing next to a horse?
It's like, oh, watch.
Why the long face?
Yeah.
Dolphins.
Oh, that's the joke we need to tell. Dolphins don't really laugh, but they do have a sound in play fighting that if you play it back, they'll go into play. So maybe they do laugh. No, I'm talking about our rodents, our rats.
Oh, little rats.
Rats have facial expressions. And I had to laugh when we were looking at the book about rat facial expressions, saying this is anger, this is saddening, this is pain. They all look alike.
But that was a joke drawing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So but the ears and the faces and they have so many expressions and they laugh. Rats want to be tickled.
They like being tickled.
They
yeah.
like
Yeah,
being.
they'll sort of. Some of them will kind of roll over, or they'll run away, but then approach you to be tickled again.
Sort of like our granddaughter. No, don't. Yes, don't stop.
I guess something about tickling for humans. If we're being tickled, we take steps to make it stop or push the hand away.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as it's over, we kind of sidle up and are interested in some more.
Yeah, we're so complex. And what they found out is once humans got used to rats, and the rats that they tickled, they could tell which rats that had been tickled. If you brought in a control human and said that rat had been tickled, that one and that one, because they were more relaxed.
They were more relaxed, a relaxed rat. You don't want an uptight, tense rat.
No, you really don't. So let's summarize all of this. What have we learned from smiling and laughter and facial expressions that can help us nurture nature? What is some of the take home here?
We can be mindful and aware of what we're doing. Some of it just comes up, but we can notice it when it comes up.
And we can watch other people and see when they laugh and smile and be curious about it.
No.
And we can't always tell what's going on. We need to be in relationship with the animals and the people. We can't say every time a chimp pants, this is what they're thinking. They have culture too, and so we have to be kind of curious in relationship to be able to really read what's going on, because it is a lot going on out there. We didn't think rats did anything. We didn't think birds had facial expressions, but now we're kind of reading their eyes and their feather movements around their head. And we're going to find out there.
And we're learning to decode that.
We're learning
by-
that's a good.
Our best clue is how other birds respond.
I don't know. That could be true. I don't know that.
Yeah, well, it's a clue.
It's a clue. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now let's do some conservation news before we wrap up. What's going on in the world of conservation?
How about climate change?
That's nothing new.
Hey.
Yeah, that's going on. A report came out. Who's it from? I want you to read that
New
group.
report from the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and the Intergovernmental
Lovely.
Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services.
Said
It talked about the importance of confronting climate change and biodiversity loss together.
now at One Earth, we always try to put together and say we are worried about animals and biodiversity. You can't just plant the same species of tree and remove carbon footprint and save the world. You need biodiversity of trees and animals, and so you have to. Both causes of biodiversity loss and climate change come through human-driven things. So it's a problem we have to work on together. We try to save the forest where parrots are, but if you poach and take all the parrots out, they're the seed dispersers, and you can't have a biodiverse forest. And we need a biodiverse forest for the parrots and for the people and for the climate change. So it's all part of a whole. Don't just look at climate change. Don't just look at extinction. Do it all together.
Climate change and loss of species they come from the same suite of human-driven causes, the report says.
Sweet.
And so, not unsweet, very bitter.
Unsweet.
As a result,
Thick,
solutions
not thick.
take both issues into account, have the best chance of success.
Okay, so we gotta move on here. Let's just pick one multi-species minute. What did we learn about other species in the news this week? There's something about eel.
Eels, oh my gosh, eels. Moray eels use suction to capture their prey, and a new study finds that snowflake morays can
They're such
grab
lame.
and swallow prey on land without water, thanks to an extra set of jaws in their throats. So they got their regular jaws, and then they've got another pair of
Ooh.
jaws back in their throat.
Ooh, that's so alien.
It's like in Alien.
Oh no, one bit me and then another's
jaw
gonna come out.
within the jaw.
Jaw within jaw. So they can capture, they don't need water, and they've got jaws within jaws. That's a really amazing little tidbit.
It means that they can feed on land without having to rely on
And
water.
they do. They'll go on land and capture prey, so you can't get away. We saw something else where animals will go onto land. It was an octopus trying to get away from a shark? And the shark just would go right over the land and chase them. So moray eels. Yes, true.
Right. So the eels that are in water can pull the fish in using suction, but it's a lot harder to use that suction on land. And so you need a second pair of jaws, and they've got them.
There's only one animal that can do suction of water, both underwater and above water. And that report came out this week too. You know who that is?
It's not me.
Nope.
Yeah.
You do suck, but not in that way. Elephants through their nose.
Yes, they dilate their nostrils.
There we
can
go.
actually do
That's
that.
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, and so they're
To
the only
create
animal.
more space in their trunks, allowing them to store and up to 9 liters of water.
9 liters. Whew. So there's our news. There's our thinking. It's
You
time
think
to
when
pause.
you got water up your nose, it's painful, but you don't have anywhere near 9 liters.
9 liters, no. So let's pause. This is our time to breathe deep. And our pause meditation for today is going to be a laughter. Some people do this. You just start laughing, and you just take a moment, everybody, and just laugh. And I could tell jokes. We had a hard time picking some that were appropriate, though.
Yeah.
So dog walks into a telegraph office and gets the paper and starts writing down the message. Woof, 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 and hands the paper to the telegraph guy. And the guy's reading it and says, that's 9 woofs. If you add one more, it's the same price. And the dog said, yeah, but that wouldn't make any sense.
That wouldn't make any sense.
I just don't really that funny, is it? But let's laugh anyway. Let's do it. There we go.
That
There's
wouldn't make any sense.
no sense at all. And neither does life. And what is the human? That just points out again that when a dog goes woof, we don't really know what they're saying. So we could try to suggest to them and try to read it, but the dog says that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
But what does make sense that we've enjoyed this time with you, and we're going to meet again next Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern
Next
time.
Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Send us questions and comments on our website, and also we're on Facebook. And I don't know what theme we're going to talk about next week, but it'll be something to nurture your nature. And so until next week, remember, you are an animal.
So act like it.
Well, you can't help it.
So help it.
Bye-bye until next week.
Bye-bye.